Hello, good afternoon. Nice speaking with this community of young people. And I hope we are surviving or coping with this pandemic. Of course, I'm so sure that we definitely get over it. This afternoon, by way of introduction, Mola Ogun Michael Sukomi by name. I'm a Nigerian, of course, by my name, you should know that. And I'm a fellow of the Conversity Pan African Youth Democracy Fellowship. Um, I'm a youth advocate and a pro democracy fellow. And one of the things about democracy is that fundamental human rights is very, very important. It's one of the cardinal things that we do around the democratic space. So, without human rights, democracy actually seem not to exist, or democracy we see to be empty practice, to be an empty practice of a type of system of government. Now, this afternoon, I'll be speaking about youths and abuse of fundamental human rights in Nigeria. Let's pick one after the other. Who are the young people? Of course, even those who are old, they will sometimes claim they are young people, but let's look at it from the policy document, the National Youth Policy document we have in Nigeria. Of course, we have had it reviewed over and over again, and according to our recent National Youth Policy, there are young people between the age of 15 to 29. That's Nigerian standard. And looking at Uganda, Uganda has its own to be about 18 to 35. But the umbrella body, as we have it, the African Union Commission, according to the African Youth Charter, has youth to be categories of people between the age of 18 to 35. So I believe that I'm addressing the youth community this afternoon, and I know that this conversation will go a long way in equipping our minds as to issues around human rights in Nigeria. When we talk of human rights, what are the things we are talking about? Just from the simple word human right. I'm a human being. I have certain rights. I have certain privileges. And one of the rights we are to enjoy as citizens is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement from one place to the other, freedom of association. But sometimes when we abuse some of these rights as individuals, then we are being checked by the instrument of government. Let's take, for example, the court or the security agencies of government. But looking at it in a very holistic way, youth and human rights abuses in Nigeria. We know today that Nigeria, there are a lot of things happening within the human rights space, and of course, the government has been tagged in with one nomenclature as to how they have been handling rights issues within the country. So it is very important for citizens to render their opinion on issues that pertains to their well-being, their rights, their privileges. But sometimes citizens are being, should I say, confronted by institutions of government, most especially when the government feels that they are being, the citizens are going against the law, or they are going to the doctrines of different establishments, so to say. But have this at the back of your mind that you don't need to be a lawyer, you don't need to be in the bench or in the bar before you can actually advocate for your right, before you can stand for the right of others. I see myself sometimes as beyond the pro-democracy fellow, as someone who stands for the right of others, most especially people who cannot rise for the defense of themselves. So it is your duty, it is my duty, and the duty of every one of us to actually rise up to the occasion of defending our own rights in this country, and of course and beyond, depending on whatever situation or environment you find yourself. Just to go straight to the point, what are the types of right violations we have in the country? And interestingly, presently I'm volunteering for a well-respected institution to develop a national youth strategic policy. And one of the things we are considering is the human rights abuses that young people normally suffer. However, it is not only the young people that suffers human rights abuses, or likewise the elderly, the aged, the pet, but that is not as alarming as we have it in the community of young people. And when we talk about the abuses that young people normally suffer in this part of the world, one of them is extrajudicial killings. That is extrajudicial killings by the security operatives. We have heard of instances whereby the SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, will just fire an innocent person. Sometimes they call it accidental discharge, and sometimes they claim the person is a culprit for one thing or the other. However, it's a right that is being abused, most especially when extrajudicial killings are taking place. Then unlawful detention. We know the government has been using this instrument of unlawful detention to actually keep people that they see as opposition, which actually is not meant to be. Even sometimes when there are injunctions of the court that someone who has been accused of a right be released from detention, the government still sometimes hold, because they hold back because they believe that they are the custodian of power. And there are a whole lot more. We have the child marriage, like somebody, because you don't have opinion of your own, you cannot express yourself, somebody will just believe that you can be married out to somebody somewhere at any time. Then we have sexual abuse, harassment, assault, and rape. Of course, we know that that is alarming in the country, and at the moment, a lot of rape cases coming up almost all the time. We have police brutality, we have extortion, we have arrest and harassment. These are things that young people are always faced with in the system. We have the criminalization and prohibition we have restriction on reproductive rights. Sometimes you just feel that, okay, these are the things you should not do, but in actual sense of it, however, as young people, we should understand that our rights are to be protected jealously and not be abused. So restriction on reproductive rights, well, I have some level of reservations about that, but one thing is very important: your right is your right, and you guide it jealously. You learn to speak out when you feel that your right is being abused. These are some of the things that young people are being faced with in the country. Then economic inequality is another abuse of fundamental human right. Because when those things that are meant to be are not actually in place, then something is actually wrong, because people will not feel the impact of government as it's meant to be. So your economic well-being is very important, and when this is not being addressed properly, it becomes an abuse. Now, why are young people the ones suffering from this, from the aforementioned? Let's take a look at it. The young people is said, or to be, the community of young people is said to be the most populous in the country, to have dominated about 65 to 70% of the country. We have this reported by National Bureau of Statistics, the UNFPA, the United Nations, and a whole lot of others. But why are young people often faced with human rights abuses? We are believed to, it is believed that young people are the set of guys that normally go around doing some things that are somewhat illegal. No, it's illusion. It doesn't work that way. I'm a young person. I'm an hustler, and I'm proud to say that. But one thing is very important: I do whatever I do within the legal framework of government. I ensure that I don't contravene. So if I am working within the legal scope, I have nothing to fear. For those who are working outside of the legal framework, for those who are contravening the law in doing things, they are the ones that need to get scared of human rights violations. However, how do we address some of this problem? How do we address some of these issues? Because if we fail to actually look, we have talked about what the human rights abuses are, the types that those exist in the country, and there are several others that I may not mention, I may not be able to mention here. But what is important is, what is your understanding of human rights? Do you know that you have a freedom of speech? Do you know that you have right to association? Do you know that you have freedom of expression? Do you know that you have freedom of movement? As a citizen of Nigeria, you can move from one state to the other. You can travel from one place to the other. You can move from one community to the other, except if there is a court injunction barring you from actually doing such. But when we have this understanding that I have the liberty to move, hence I've not gone against the law, I have the liberty to associate, hence I'm not joining a cultic association, I have freedom of expression, hence I'm not saying what can upturn the peace of the society. That is to tell us that we live with the understanding that rights are our rights and privileges are being properly should I say taken care of, or we are so deliberate about how we live our lives. Now, we have seen instances whereby young people are being accused of one thing or the other. The journalists, they suffer from some unlawful detentions, they suffer police brutality, because some of these people, even if they are not young people, they are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are parents, and of course our friends. Then how do we address some of these problems? It is your duty, it is my duty, it is the duty of every one of us to actually speak up when we feel that our rights are being abused. It is your responsibility to shift to action when you see that your neighbor that is being abused, his rights of association, his freedom is being abused, and of course is being brutalized by the police. We have seen instances whereby the SARS are fired as young people, and they claim, sometimes they claim it is accidental discharge. But you know, we have lost some of our friends, we have lost some of our family members, we have lost some of our good neighbors as a result of some of these claims. A case was brought to my attention some times ago about somebody that was just fired, or without an innocent person being fired. And of course, I know we are abreast, or we are aware of some of these things around us. What am I saying in essence? It is my duty to actually rise, to be so deliberate about understanding what my rights are. It is your responsibility to know what your rights are. Can I ask this question? When was the last time you actually studied the Constitution to actually know your right as a citizen of the country? Have you picked up any policy document that stipulates what rights, that talks about the rights and privileges you have? If we don't know this, of course, it is evidently certain that you will always be a victim of what you don't know. What you know, you cannot be a victim of such. So it is very important that we understand the certain rights, certain privileges we have as far as this environment is concerned. Do you know that a policeman cannot just walk into your house and begin to search your house without a search warrant from the court? Because what I'm saying in essence is this. It is because I know some of this. That is why I can educate them the minds of young people here this afternoon. So if you are not conscious of some of these things, the policemen out there, and funny enough, some of these policemen, we can't blame them because they also don't know some of these things. But some who knows still capitalizes on the fact that we are young people, that we know nothing about our rights, and that is the reason why they just feel like they just feel like, oh yeah, these people people, they don't know anything. Then we can actually take advantage of them. So I repeat again, you will always be a victim of what you don't know. Let me cite this example, the practical example of myself. I travel a lot. I move around places to play. One place to the other, and on several occasions, as a young person, I am always being the vehicle being stopped by police. Questions are being asked. It depends on how you approach as well to actually prove to whoever want to abuse your right. about the knowledge you carry. I do tell them I'm a citizen of this country, and the moment you check my bag, if you want to search, because something is very important and I need to tell us here. He who holds the gun, he who holds the gun owns the power at that very moment. Don't argue with policeman. Your life is very important. Your life is you need to guide your life jealously. Whatever you are being told to do, kindly comply. But just ensure that you are speaking or you are reacting from informed background, so that anyone who wants to interrogate you, we know that no, this person is educated, the person's mind is conscientized, that is right cannot be trampled upon. So, as we engage ourselves this afternoon, what do you know about your right? What do I know about my right? How can you stand for the right of others? And let me say this again. Sometimes, when you feel that your right is being abused, it is not just enough to say you want to engage or you want to fight your way out. The judiciary is there, the court is there to actually seek redress over some issues. Speak to your lawyer. And let me say this again. Any moment you are being stopped by or you are being arrested by police, for the sake of your own defense, it is better not to speak. Rather, because you cannot be your own litigant, get a lawyer to actually speak on your behalf. Because what you don't know will be capitalized on to actually to actually take advantage of you, for others in the other side to take advantage of you. But once you know that you need a lawyer to actually speak for you, why not engage the service of a lawyer? Once that is done, you engage a lawyer to actually intervene or to speak on your behalf. These are things we need to know. Do you also know that police does not, according to Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the police does not have the right to actually detain you for certain number of hours? And do you know that somebody else cannot be arrested on your behalf for offense that the person does not commit? You need to know some of these things, and I want to advise you as a citizen of Nigeria, go and read about the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. So once you know some of the things, the codes, some of the things enshrined, some of the things embedded in this Administration of Criminal Justice Act, it helps you to know the rights you have. It helps you to know the privileges you have. It helps you to actually get yourself equipped, get yourself knowledgeable, get yourself informed on how you can actually address some issues. And let me say this on a very frantic note, not all policemen on the road are bad. You need to understand that. Some of them are polite, but sometimes the way we react to them is some average Nigerian. There is this mindset we have about our police officers. Not all of them. There are good ones among them, and we also need to help them. Don't cover up what you don't know. Speak to the issue. Don't attack personality. Anytime you are involved in any legal matter, don't attack any personality. Rather, speak to the issue for which you have been invited, perhaps for interrogation or for questioning. So your rights are they are the benefits you have as citizens to actually enjoy your freedom. Right to move around, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of association. But in all this, because of the society we have find ourselves, we need to be very careful. We need to actually be very observant and take high level of cognizance anytime we move around, anytime we engage young people, we engage institutions of government, the security agencies. We need to actually know that we need to be very careful as we engage them. Don't overreact. Don't abuse, so that some things will not be used against you. So they are human beings like us. They are parents, they are fathers, and tragically, it happens that those who sometimes unleash the mayhem of human rights abuses on the community of young people as young people like us. But it is so unfortunate that there are certain things they equally don't know. If you don't know your right And somebody who does not know how to handle certain situation, you fall into such person's hand, automatically it becomes a community or communication between two ignorant people, two people that are not knowledgeable about the right and how to actually rise for your defense when your right is being abused. So as young people, I charge us this afternoon, let us write, let us rise, let us know, let us pick document. Don't just assume you know. It is not just all about talking. When you are talking, talk from informed background. Speak to document according to section so and so of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. Speak to that. If speak to, okay, according to the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, speak to that. When you are engaging a policeman about this, you are speaking to the Constitution, you are speaking to the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. You know, you can easily reach out to someone that, okay, this is what is happening around me, what do I need to do? And don't, as I said earlier, don't assume you know it all. When you know that there are things that are not within your disposition, seek for help, ask for people. And it is very important, when rights are being abused, if you want to seek redress in court, make sure you have evidence. Just like, for example, someone who alleged that someone raped her or him, as the case may be, and maybe after the rape you go back to your house, you had your bath. How do you want police to actually take that up as evidence? To believe. You just need to actually appear to make your case known at the police station, to your lawyer or to whoever you want to speak to, that this is what has happened to me. And with the evidence, it works. Our phone is there as a mobile device. You can always have record of some situations around you. You can always have the audio recording. You can have pictorial evidence, so that when you are being asked questions, you have evidence or evidences, as the case may be, to show that this is a mayhem that has been unleashed on you. So for us to actually overcome this, as young people, we need to keep speaking on behalf of others, those who cannot rise for their own right. Not everybody is educated, not everybody is informed. What we need to do is to always speak out. When you feel that anybody cannot speak for himself, rise for the defense of the person, educate the person. And on a final note, let's try as much as possible as young people to be engaging ourselves, to keep teaching people, to understand, to read, to pick documents that talks about our right. You read the Constitution. The Constitution is not meant for the parliamentarians alone. It's not meant for the lawyers alone. It is a public document meant for you and I. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act is not for lawyers alone. It's a public document that every one of us can actually pick to understand, read, and digest, so that if any matter arises, you can always have something to present. I hope with this little points of mine, we can actually know that we have rights. Your right of association, your freedom of expression, your right to life, your right to education, your right to association, and all lots more are the benefits we have as people. So, and I hope that as we continue to see these cases, as we continue to address these issues, we get others informed, we get their minds equipped and illuminated. Thank you very much.